So I've been told to speak very quickly, which is not a problem for me. But if you have questions about our specific actions, then check out our poster tomorrow when we have the poster session. Just by being in this room, you inspire a lot of people, and I think that's great. But it's what you do when you leave this room and what you do with your plans, and just in coming up with the plan that you're going to work on tomorrow, that you really get to work. And I wanted to jot down just a couple of things that helped us to really create a plan that we could implement. And some of the strategies that we thought were important to mention are on the screen up there. First of all, you need to set specific goals. We have all these cool things. I mean, Junkarama and Locker Cleanout, all of these really amazing ideas, and your mind's going to be teeming with them. What you need to do is select things that you can do, that you can accomplish, and kind of get them all in one big pile, but get just a specific list that you know you can accomplish, and create a timeline and stick to that timeline. Say, okay, by this date we're going to do this, and then on this date we're going to try to get this accomplished. Work on one thing at a time. You're not going to be able to do everything all at once as much as you'd love to. Establish really good communication with all of the people involved, especially all of your administrators, because they're the ones that are going to help you get these things accomplished. And by going to them beforehand rather than waiting till the last minute, you'll get a lot more done, and you'll find that they're really excited to work with you. A big thing is funding, and that needs to be something that you need to talk about right from the very beginning. How are we going to be able to come up with ideas to fund this project? And I love Kate's idea of the sustainability fund that students pay. But in a high school, you need to come up with more creative ways of doing that, and we've done that a lot with our recycling program. So some of the things that Lake Placid has accomplished since going to the Youth Summit, and really because of our climate action plans, we conducted a carbon audit. We've organized some 350.org events. We've done a composting program. We've done a lot with our school gardening, and we've done a lot with local farmers and getting students out into the farms, working on the farms, and coming back. And then we've really spent a lot of time on our recycling projects as well. We went to the Clean Air, Cool Planet presentation our first year, and we really wanted to know what our carbon, in order to monitor our success along the way, we wanted to be able to have a baseline set of data, and that's what the Cool Planet people were helping us do. And at first it seemed daunting, I'm not going to lie. You open up this program and it looks kind of scary. And I'm good with spreadsheets, so for me to be scared by it, it was kind of hard. But we looked at a couple of different other tools out there, and we said, in the end, this was the coolest thing, because even though it took us a little while to figure it out, and they're here today to help you if you go to that workshop, please ask them lots of questions and play with the computers and get comfortable with it, because once you're comfortable with it, you can do a lot. And this program will tell you so many different things about your data that you'll be amazed. When we did ours, the thing that stepped up to the top for us was, and we were shocked to find out that most of our carbon emissions, 69% of it, was coming from students driving to school and or being dropped off by their parents. More than the buses even, which I was shocked to find out, and we all were. More than the heating of the building, more than the electricity, and we wouldn't have known that had we not done that carbon audit. So I think that that's a great place for a lot of people to start. Focusing on educational awareness campaigns is easy. If you go to organizations like 350.org, they will help you organize really cool events. They'll give you posters that you just put your information into. We've done a couple of events. We did, as Kathy mentioned, we did a 350.org thing. And what we did with that was we brought together schools, or the environmental clubs from other schools in the region. And because we had 3 school districts working together, not competing against each other on a field of, like an athletic field, but working together to accomplish a really common goal, we did a lot. And I'm just going to show you a couple of pictures of things we did. Making tote bags out of t-shirts, just a really cool idea of how do you get rid of plastic bags, and how do you get people to, at the grocery store, not, bring their own bag every single time, instead of, well, the t-shirt bags were one way to take something that you would throw into the garbage and turn them into a useful item. Our bottle drive, Robert's in the audience somewhere today, he raised over $690 for our club just in doing bottle drives and working with the local transfer station. We have a school garden. We didn't have water at our garden, so we created a rainwater collection system. I'm really excited to get another barrel. That's yay for Coca-Cola for doing that. We also set up a composting system at our youth center, and all of the school from the cafeteria, all of the school food waste from the cafeteria, not the students' food waste. We're working on that this year, but at least the waste that the cafeteria staff is producing goes to the compost bin every day, and you can see the mantis system there is really great in a cold climate because we can add food to that system all winter long, and we were able to do that last year until the snow got so high that we couldn't get to it, but we've definitely come up with a better strategy for snow clearing there, and hopefully that program will continue. We work with a lot of gardening programs. We did a seed fundraising program our first year, and we put together packets of seeds and sold them to the community, and we used Fedco for that. They produce a lot of heirloom seeds and organic seeds. So we put them together, sold them, and the money that we got from the seed purchases we used for, we didn't pay for any plants to go into the garden. That funded our garden project. So that was great. And then we, again, work with the local CSAs. We go to farms and we work for a day, and Fledgling Crow, I think, has deemed us like carrot harvest people because we seem to get there every year about that time, and they're really great about we spend a day helping them harvest, and then we get to take a bag of carrots home for our school, and the cafeteria loves to get that kind of stuff, so it's been really nice. We're also trying to think of creative ways to grow food in our own school. Soil is an issue, so we've established a hydroponic system, and right now we have lettuce and tomatoes growing. This is not our system that we have now. We have much better updated pictures that I should have put in here, but hopefully we'll have a lot of lettuce for the school cafeteria. We've got about 30 heads growing right now, and cherry tomatoes year-round. That's what we're hoping for in the classroom. And then Earth Day celebrations, I'm hoping everybody does that. But what I'm really here to talk to you about is this really cool thing that has come out of the Youth Summit. The museum here has been involved in a multicultural exchange program with the Eureka Science Center in Finland. And it's a collaboration between the two museums. It was funded by the American Association of Museums. And it was all about bringing the conversation together, bringing together people from Finland and people from the Adirondacks and talking about our unique problems and how we're solving them. So I am just thrilled that I was able to be part of this. It was an incredible program, and when I first found out I was going to Finland, I had to figure out where exactly it was. So I wanted to put this in here so that you could have that frame of reference. I kind of knew sort of where it was, but there it is right there. And if you look size-wise, the size of Finland is very similar to the size of New York. So making comparisons between New York and Finland was not that difficult. And when we look at the Adirondacks and we compare the Adirondacks to the northern part of Finland, which is called Lapland, the similarities are striking, and you'll see them here. Now, these could be pictures that I took here from the Adirondacks, but they're all pictures from Finland, and you'll notice that a lot of the landscapes that Jerry was showing you this morning look exactly like the landscapes that you're seeing in Finland. They have birch trees, they have lean-tos, they have a winter culture that involves a lot of cross-country skiing and ski jumping, and they have a lot of lakes too, just like we do. So a lot of their lifestyle is very similar to ours, and I was really amazed at how much we had in common. What we were doing while we were there, whoops, did I skip? Nope. The goal of the project was to just share ideas. How are we dealing with climate change education, and how are we dealing with, what kind of solutions are we working with? We're learning how both countries are dealing with climate change and how they're both becoming more sustainable. On the initial grant, there were 4 trips that occurred last year. We had a team from Finland that was here, and they presented at the Youth Summit, and they were amazing, and they gave us a really great worldwide perspective of the climate issue. And then we went, and I'll explain the people who went just a minute. Jen is there, myself, Gail Brill, who's also here today, and Stephanie, who's the director of the Wild Center. And it was all Stephanie's groundwork, I think, in getting us there, so kudos to Stephanie. And if I was going, I felt like I didn't belong unless I had some students there, because I'm a teacher, and I felt like they needed to be there. So we were able to raise money to bring 3 students, one from Saranac Lake, Tupper Lake, and Lake Placid with us, and having them there was really cool, and you'll see the end result of that. But while we were there, we just were totally embraced by everyone that we met. They were wonderful very welcoming and eager to share what they were doing, eager to talk to the rest of the world about their projects. And we had a lot of fun, and in the meantime, we jumped into some frozen lakes and went to an ice hotel and did a lot of things. Went to the Eureka Museum, which was the counterpart to this one, and ate a lot of really great locally produced food and met with many government officials. I kept pinching myself while I was there just because we met so many, the mayor of Helsinki and the director of, we actually met the ambassador to Finland, the US ambassador to Finland, and you'll hear a quote from him a little bit later on. But some of the things that those people, that the government officials were talking about and eager to tell the rest of the world about was their Copenhagen goals and their goals as a country to reduce their carbon footprint. Their very realistic goals were set, and they're meeting them very well. They're planning as a country to cut down on their fossil fuel burning and increase it with sustainable forest management. And that was part of one of the other trips that went this summer as well. It was very amazing to see what they're already doing in the city of Helsinki. There are no power lines. There are no chimneys on any of the buildings. There are no furnaces in any of the buildings. And it's all because they are one of the leaders in the world for cogeneration. And all of their energy-producing plants and facilities have a system where the heat that we normally vent into the air, the heat is captured in water pipes and sent throughout the city. And so that warms the city, and you can see the underground infrastructure that made that possible. 72% of district heat is produced by cogeneration of electricity, but you're going to see that there also was heat that was being produced from other unique places. This was a church, and in the basement of the church they had an old bunker, and they have computer networks there. And if you think about how much heat your laptop produces when it's sitting on your lap in just a little bit of time, think about the computers that are in charge of major networks and keeping the internet going. Well, in Helsinki, they're taking the heat from those plants and feeding it into that district heat system. They're taking the heat from sewage treatment plants and they're feeding that into the system. So they're really just capturing all of what we would call waste heat and using that to heat their homes and hot water. Transportation was really cool. Most of the people in Finland live in the city, so they have a very, very good public transportation system, and we certainly use that quite a bit. But what I loved was the bike culture. They have studded tires on their bikes, and they ride them year-round, and they don't salt their roads. They leave snow on the road because then you have grip, and they just add some sand to help give it a little bit of traction. And that was, to me, a really exciting thing to see. As we saw in my carbon audit, one of the problems in Lake Placid is our students driving to work. If they could ride their bikes with studded tires, that would be great. Recycling in Finland is a step above ours. They have this thing called energy waste, and it's all color-coded, and everywhere you go, it's the same color code because the government's in charge of the recycling programs. So you know right away, oh, orange, that's energy waste. So what goes into the energy waste bucket? Plastic, actually, and they're creating energy from the plastic is made of petroleum, so they're taking that and they're unfortunately right now they're incinerating it, but they're also working on some gasification projects and stuff with that. So, but they're capturing the energy out of it rather than throwing it into a landfill. And then they also recycle their bio-waste. All food waste, not just compostable food waste, but all food waste in Finland is being composted. In the schools, you saw evidence of all of that. The students were making all of the composting, or they were making all of the recycling buckets. And again, it's color-coded, so everybody knows what it is. It's very easy to tell people where to put stuff if you just have the right colors. They also have composting systems where they're collecting the food waste, and again, the napkins and all of that goes into that same bucket. We had students that went into Finnish schools and learned a lot about their system. Their educational system was really unique and exciting. We went to 2 themed high schools. Students in Finland actually graduate with basic education at the end of 8th grade, and then they choose from what school they want to go to for a high school. So you can go to an athletic high school where all of your subjects are taught through that topic, or you could go to a performing arts high school, which one of our students visited one of those, and we also visited an agricultural high school, so that was a really unique thing. One thing I loved about the educational system was that the home ec teachers, ruled. They were like the greatest teachers there, and their job was to teach people sustainability. That was what home ec was. It was teaching sustainability throughout the high school and middle school experiences, and all students have to take that. And then college, of course, is free there, so that makes it even more exciting and challenging to get in there. There were some cultural differences that we noticed. They have a very deep connection with the outdoors, and nobody really denies climate change. The government is very accepting of it, so the people are very accepting of it. They don't question it. And that's something that we can change about our country, I think, is just that awareness that when you go outside of our world, everyone else pretty much is accepting it and starting to move towards solutions. So where do we go from here? I mentioned that we met the U.S. ambassador to Finland. His name is Bruce Orrick. He's the tall gentleman in the middle. He reminded us that, you know, you can get a little bit depressed thinking, oh, our government will never do that. But he said, you know what? We need to be looking at climate in a different way. We need to be looking at this climate and energy issue as an economic opportunity. And that's where I think the young voice comes in. You're going to need jobs. You're going to want jobs. And those jobs that you think you might want right now may not be available. They're not the ones that are going to be around in 4 years, 5 years. So, you know, if you start thinking about this little thing, this little spark as a thing that can lead you to a future, and you start thinking about energy issues as opportunities rather than problems, and stop focusing on the problem part and keep saying, you know what, we are going to need these things. We are going to need more solar power, so we're going to need people who know more about it, who know how to install it. Then I think those are smart decisions for you to be making as you're looking at colleges. But his main voice was to remind us that our job is to touch, move, and inspire the younger generation, because you are the generation that will make the change. Having the students was extremely important to us. They were an inspiration to us, and I think it was great for them. They felt that they had an equal voice in the conversation. Finland has a stronger governmental commitment. Yes, we're not going to change that. But they were so impressed with our students. They said, you know what, I can't imagine a Finnish student being this passionate about the environment. I can't imagine them getting up there. U.S. citizen-led environmental movements like the one started by the Green Circle with Gail Brill in the back there, those are the things that move things in our country. If you look at all of the civil rights movements and the women's rights movement, it was all started from the ground up. It wasn't government down, it was people up. And that's what we're here for, is to get people to create that energy at the bottom level. So again, I said, just by being in this room, you've inspired not just us, but you've inspired an entire country. They, after being here last year and seeing our young people and seeing all the energy and all the excitement about this, have stepped up to the plate, and they said, you know what, next September, Finland is going to have the very first ever youth summit. So thank you.